Yep, I got you.
Hawaii time. So anyway, my name is Keith Yamamoto. I'm going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so we can get on going because we have a phenomenal agenda today. And so everyone please rise. Ready to begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Our first speaker is going to be arriving soon. As soon as he arrives, we're going to start the formal proceeding. You know, this is the second day that I start the day with asking you all for a moment of silence. We just found out that a very dear colleague just passed away this weekend. His name is Joe Montano, for those of you that know him and have worked with him. He served as the in the same position that KJ did a few years ago. And so I've had the opportunity to work very closely with him. He was very vibrant and a very wonderful human being. And he was a very good friend to a lot of us. So please, let's bow our head for a moment of silence in honor of Joe. Thank you all very much. Okay, this is third in a row in 1 week. We're gonna have a full lineup, and as we begin today's session, we come from a very exciting 2 days. Last night, for those of you that were at the Wells Fargo Center, you saw the exciting nomination of our next President of the United States, Are we ready? Are we ready and fired up?
Yes.
Ready to go?
Yes.
Come on, that's not loud enough. The Democrats? Come on. So before we get into the programming, I want to talk a little bit about what we need to do for November to make sure that we elect Secretary Clinton as the next President of the United States. We all need to make sure that we get out the vote in our respective states, and we do this by working and volunteering to door knock and phone call at our neighborhood Democratic offices or local campaign headquarters. We need to get the message out to our friends and neighbors about how Hillary Clinton will build an economy that works for everyone, with good jobs and good education available, and make sure that we work with international allies to keep us safe. She has spent her life fighting for children and families here at home. And, you know, we have spent the last few years building up caucuses around the country. So, and I know that we have several state-level caucus chairs here in the audience. Would you please rise? And I know that we'll be calling on you again and again as we move forward. Very quickly, I see Amy Dacey in the back there.
I was trying to hide though.
Amy, so it gives me great pleasure to introduce the CEO of the Democratic National Committee and a great friend, an activist and just a wonderful human being here. So,
And president of the Bell Fan Club, right?
thank you. So I'm going to do very short.
I just want to, good morning, everyone. Are you ready for day 3 of the Democratic National Convention? We've had some incredible speeches. I want to certainly thank everybody that's involved in the AAPI caucus. We've got a lot of work to do, and I have to say since day one, when I started, Belle has been a very good friend. She's been an incredible mentor and helping me to understand what is critical and what's worked in the past, what hasn't, and how we can build for the future. We did an amazing trip. She helped her, and KJ and the team helped build an amazing trip out to the West Coast to do some really incredible meetings and press related and talking to the community. I know that I don't have to tell you that this election is so important. We have so much at stake. Did you all watch a lot of the speeches in Cleveland? How many people were glued to the TV? Yes. So we come rolling out of Cleveland and we have this divisive narrative about not really being together on anything, but saying that you have to, tear people down to build the country up, and I just don't believe in that, and I know you don't either. And so that's why I'm so excited to be in Philadelphia, as we're having a positive, inclusive, stronger together narrative where we're all going to come together to win not elections. And I know you want to make sure we have the 45th President of the United States to be a Democrat. I know that. We're all committed to that, right? But I'm going to get a little greedy. I want to win the Senate, I want to win the House, and I want to win the Congress. We're going to have incredible coordinating campaigns all across the country, and we're going to leave an infrastructure so that in January of 2017, we're ready to win governor's races all over the place in 18 as well, and House and Senate and state legislative races. We're going to make sure that our government reflects who we are and our values, and we can do that coming together. I know that we need your help. Belle and KJ and the team have talked about what we need from you. We need to make sure we're, campaigns are just conversations, and so we want to have those conversations. We want you to help us understand where we need to have them, who we need to have them with, and where we need to go to have them. So I'm so excited that we'll be working together, and I promise when I walk out that door, I'm going to work twice as hard to make sure that we're going to win in November, and I know you will too. So thank you so much, and thank you, Belle. It's going to be fun. We're going to do it. All right, everybody, have a good day. Get some rest. It's going to be a big night.
Julian.
Good morning, Democrats. Please help me welcome the Honorable Julian Castro. I have the absolute great honor to introduce Julian Castro, the chief surrogate for Hillary Clinton. Many of you have saw him 4 years ago as one of the keynote speakers. Now, he has a twin brother, but I have to tell you that I think this is the more handsome one. The Honorable Julian Castro has served both as an appointed as well as an elected official. He has been a city councilman, a mayor of his native San Antonio, a third-generation Mexican-American. He is an activist, and the political activism is in his blood. His mother was actually a Chicano activist, and she founded or co-founded the Chicano political party, La Casa Unida. Politics is in his blood. So, we absolutely, without a whole long list of introduction, because I know that you really don't want to listen to me, you want to listen to him. So let me ask the Honorable Julian Castro to please come up and say a few words.
Good morning. Good morning. First of all, thank you so much, Bill, for wonderful to be here. I do have a twin brother, Joaquin. In fact, one of the neat things about being here at the convention has been that he and I have had a chance to spend more time with each other than we usually do. But he goes around routinely introducing himself by saying that the way to tell us apart is that I'm a minute uglier than he is. We're twins and I'm actually a minute older. But it's great to be here. I wanted to first and foremost thank each and every one of you for all of the great work that you're doing in your own cities, in your own communities, your neighborhoods, in your own different capacities, whether in public service, in the private sector, or just in democratic politics, to ensure that we win in November. But I thought that the neatest moment yesterday was watching the video of all of the presidents. Did y'all see that? At the end, of all of the presidents lined up, and then the glass breaking, and Hillary there as really the embodiment of the future. I wanted to come here today because the Asian American and Pacific Islander community has for a long time been a vital part of the Democratic coalition. And the fact is that this is the community that is growing the fastest in the United States. I have felt for some time that it often does not get as much recognition as it should for the importance that it plays in the Democratic coalition. And so I was actually supposed to be in my home state delegation in Texas right now, but I wanted to thank you for the invitation and the chance to be here to say that in the next few years, I believe that there is going to be a wonderful opportunity to build a stronger and stronger coalition among communities that are emerging, that are young, that are in swing states, that are in places like Northern Virginia and that I-4 corridor, and growing around Las Vegas and around the suburbs of Denver, and that the AAPI community is such a vital part of that story. In this election, we have a very clear choice between our candidate who has a broad, inclusive view of America and its future, one that welcomes immigrants and recognizes how much stronger our nation and our economy have been made by people of different backgrounds and different faiths, and another that literally wants to turn the clock back despite all of the progress that we've made over the years. And so my hope is that in November that we're going to deliver a resounding vote for Hillary Clinton and affirm that we believe in a diverse and growing America, an inclusive one, but not one that's exclusive or that scapegoats immigrants or that tries to pit people of different backgrounds against each other. You know, I spoke here 4 years ago, and I can't believe it's been 4 years. My daughter was 3 years old then, and she wasn't going to be here this week. My wife and I have a 1.5-year-old son, and so my wife was going to stay in San Antonio with our 2 kids, but my daughter's going to come tomorrow in the afternoon in time to be here for tomorrow night. I want to make sure that she's here to witness history. I also know that in the years to come, we're also going to see the first Asian American who's elected vice president or president.
All right.
And that's going to be, that is not far off. And that we will all celebrate that moment as well as the Democratic Party continues to break barriers and really to show folks how it should be done. And the reason that America is, as the First Lady reminded us, the greatest nation on earth. And so, thank you for everything that you're doing and your support. I look forward to watching the election results roll in on November 8th and watching on CBS and ABC and MSNBC Telemundo, Univision. But I especially look forward to the moment on Fox News. When Carl Rome goes berserk, and they tell them that Hillary Clinton and Tim Kaine are the next president and vice president of the United States. And they know we have to make it happen. Thank you for that.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Castro. I next have the distinct honor to introduce my very good friend, Chris Liu, the Honorable Chris Liu. I want to tell you that I've known Chris for quite a number of years now, and at first it was like, come on, Chris, we got to do this. And next it was, come on, Chris, we really can do this. And we've been partners in a lot of things over the years. Chris is passionate about public service. He, right out of law school, he started in public service. Instead of choosing a profitable law career as a corporate lawyer, he chose instead to be in the public sector. He served in Congress and you know, in various positions, and also in the administration. And now I'd like to welcome the Honorable Chris Liu.
Bill, thank you so much. It is a treat to see so many Asian Americans here, and especially at this hour. I gotta tell you, I don't know how you guys do these parties late at night. When you get to my age, you gotta get to bed at night. But it is so wonderful to see all of you. It's affirming to me about why we do these caucus meetings, why we try to engage as many people as possible, and in particular why we engage as many young people as possible. I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective about what this election means and why Hillary Clinton is such the obvious choice. And it dovetails a little bit on what Secretary Castro just said. As some of you know, I spent 4 years in the White House managing the cabinet. I sat behind Hillary Clinton at every cabinet meeting for 4 years, and so wonderfully positioned between Hillary Clinton and the president. And so any photo between the two of them, I think it kind of pops out of the corner. And when we have these cabinet meetings, obviously Secretary Clinton is taking the lead on major decisions about foreign policy. But that's not all she was about. She also brought her considerable wisdom and expertise to issues including healthcare, education, economic opportunities, because she understands that we as a nation only succeed when everyone succeeds, that we are only as strong as the weakest people in our country. And so this is an important election from a policy perspective. If you care about policy, it's a no-brainer as to who you should vote for. I would defy you to try to even find 5 pages of policy of what Donald Trump stands for. But this is more than just policy. This is about values as well. You know, when I think about who we are as Asian Americans, I go back to my upbringing. And I often think about, you know, I'm sure this resonates with many people in the room. I grew up calling all of my friends' parents aunties and uncles. And when there was somebody that was sick, we would bring them food. When there was somebody that would be driven to Chinese school, we would drive them to Chinese school. It was many, many years later until I realized that none of these people were actually related to me. But that's who we are as Asian Americans. We care for people who are ill. We help the weak. We don't succeed unless everyone succeeds. Tonight, you're going to hear a very powerful affirmation from the President about what it means to be an American. As many of you know, it is 12 years from the time when he delivered that remarkable speech in Boston It's always remembered for the line, there was no red America, there was no blue America, the United States of America. The line that I love is the one when he says, if there is a child on the south side of Chicago who can't read, that affects me even if it's not my child. If there's a senior citizen who can't afford prescription drugs and food, that matters to me even if it's not my grandmother. That is what this election is about. It's about values. It's about the idea that we are all one American family. And in this American family, Hillary Clinton knows that we don't create walls between people based on citizenship. We don't ostracize people because of the religion that they practice. And we certainly don't make fun of people in our family who have disabilities. That is what this election is about. And I will tell you from having worked on the president's 2 elections in 2008 and 2012, this one is more important than both of those. Because those elections were decisions about policy. This is about a decision about what our country stands for. And so I'm going to crisscross the country talking to Asian Americans. I hope all of you talk to them. And it's not just about policy, it's about who we are as a community. And I think any sensible person taking a look at this will understand that Hillary Clinton embodies the values of our community. And that's why I'm going to be working so hard to make sure she's the 45th President of the United States. Thank you all.
Thank you very, very much, Chris. Appreciate it. That's exactly why we're all here and why we have to work so hard together. Next, I'd like to bring up Erica Mortsugu, who will be introducing the panel. She is the action lead.
Good morning. So the next panel is Our Voice, Shaping and Delivering Our Message. Belle keeps telling us that this is our time. And what this panel is going to do is build on all of the work that we've been doing for the last many, many years to get the campaigns to invest in our community and in translations, to move beyond shaping and developing our strong message, and to drill in deeper to recognize that there are generational differences and evolving new methods of delivering messages and presenting our messages. So the panel is going to address questions like, how do candidates use to shape their messages to win? Let's remember, that's the exercise that we're here to do. But also, how do we reach more of our community? So we're going to have a distinguished panel of brilliant and glamorous professionals who lead the discussion to explore the challenges and opportunities that present itself this election season. But I also want to say that elections are galvanizing. They're the impetus for empowering communities and growing leaders moving forward. So we're going to hear from our distinguished and glamorous panel, harness the energy and activism with their inspiration to win this election for Democrats, and also empower individuals and communities to reach deeper in a lasting way. I'm going to actually quote Shankar, who was quoting Secretary Clinton, organizing for the future. So leading this discussion is the distinguished, award-winning journalist and humanitarian, who actually needs no introduction because he's really, really good at his job, but Richard Louis will bring the panel up as soon as
how's Philadelphia doing? I'm feeling the energy here. When I was in Cleveland, it was a little bit quieter. I don't know why. It is great to be here. I get to take off my journalist hat, put on my APIAVote board member hat, and talk about something that's very important that's addressing our community. I'd like to welcome up our great panel. If Big Chen can come up, please, as well as Tony, I'm calling you Tony now. Toby as well, Olivia Chow, great as well. Come on up. As they're coming up to the stage, you know, you've got a big objective, a very high bar to meet as the panel hugs everybody on the way up here. Because we just had an assistant secretary, deputy secretary, and secretary open us up today. And when you think about that, when I was listening to Secretary Castro, I was thinking, you know, I liked to bring up this term during the last cycle in 2012, Latin Asian, because those qualities that Deputy Secretary Liu was talking about is definitely beholden to the Latino American community as well. Those are sort of shared values. So it's great to see you both come up and talk today. So our panel, in the 20 minutes we have in front of us, we have Chen, he's a digital media entrepreneur. We have Chow, the Vice President of Strategic Communications, PBS. We also have Olivia Chow, Deputy Director of Digital Communications. Do we have enough seats up here? All right, there. Olivia, did I forget your name earlier? And I apologize if I just want to do this. Cendana, Executive Director, Asia Pacific American Labor Alliance, APALA. What do I, very quickly, as we look at the goal of this panel, tell me one thing about your background that helps you understand this objective of understanding the voice.
Hi, good morning everyone. My name is Bing, as Richard said. Previously, I architected most of the creator services on the YouTube.com platform. So all the musicians, the beauticians, the politicians now, and so forth, that upload their voice and share it with billions of people around the world. The way they monetize that, build that audience, deepen that audience, and of course, have a little bit of creativity in the middle of it, were in many ways mine and others' abilities.
That's a lot of issues. What about you, Greg?
So many buzzwords.
Hello everyone. I think one thing that's helpful is that I live and work at a variety of intersections. So being young, gay, grew up in a union and immigrant household, and also work across a lot of communities, including other people of color, communities of color. I think that brings a unique perspective in the work.
Olivia.
I feel overwhelmed to be on this panel with great people. I had to go by Greg, that's awful. I think what brings me here is just being, again, also a child of immigrants. Just watching my parents work really, really hard to give me the best of my life. They don't really understand the politics, they don't understand my job, they don't understand what I do, but they're really, really supportive of me. And I think about like what they've had to go through to be able to give me that life, and I think about everyone else that goes through that. And I try to, make sure that whatever level of like privilege or access or anything that I have to be able to give it back.
We think you're awesome.
She is, and she's really doing some amazing work here, running the Dem Convention digital team and being part of liaison with the API Media Center.
It's very unlike you to not talk about it. I want to know about you.
So one thing I will say first, though, I will say I'm not wearing my hat. I am a vice president of PBS in my day job, but I'm on vacation this week.
And taking your hat off.
That hat is off. So. Forget about that. This is my 5th convention. I would say that I think I'm probably not too different from anybody in this room that's wanted to do anything with their lives. And I get my motivation from what I saw growing up, right? Seeing my folks struggle as immigrants. But there are 3 pieces of what we need for any message that we push out, right? One is the story of me. What is the story that you bring, your motivation? What is that story of us? What is that story that together makes us stronger together? And then what is the story of now, which is a fierce urgency of why this all matters right now. And hopefully we can even talk about some of that today.
So I really want all of the panelists in the time that we've got to focus on one thing. You're standing in front of both of the nominees right now, and you're trying to get them to come to Nevada to address our community during the APIAVote presidential town hall. And so therefore you need to be talking about the title here, Our Voice, Shaping and Delivering Our Message. This is who you're talking to. Because each and every one of you, when you're out there, this is what you're trying to say. Our vote is worth coming after, right? And so I'll start with the title, Our Voice. What is our voice? And how would you characterize it? It would say, yeah, that's a group I need to go after in the swing states. Anybody?
So I think there are a few things.
Right? You go.
I think there are probably 3 stages to it, right? The first is our moment, right? This is our time, right? Well, what does that mean? It means APIs are on the rise. And fill it in with however you identify yourself, right? We have the fastest growing population. We have record representation in the halls of power. We have a new generation of leaders that are changing the debate. We have more faces in the popular media than we've ever seen before. Our time is now, right? APIs are on the rise, right? Second is this moment of how APIs are stronger together. We saw the influence of this in 2008, and we're seeing it now more than ever. We have networks. Look, we used to always think of there is no AAPI community, but the truth is there are many communities. And what looked like a weakness, let's convert it now into an asset. Let's activate all of those networks and count on the leaders in that world. You know, I'll tell you something, we have a media center here. and it was co-led by a man named Joe Montano, who's a good buddy of all of ours. Joe was on the media center team, and this was going to be his first convention. Joe has always been on the ground in a battleground state during the convention. And this was going to be his first one. He was going to run it with us. And if there's one way that we can all honor Joe, it's to focus on this one piece of work of coming together. Community organizers' creed is that we identify leaders, and then we build a community around those leaders, and then we build power from the resources within those communities, not just from outside. So yes, we got to go to Nevada and speak to the power and tell them what problems we need to solve as our community. But the only way we're going to be able to do this is if we are able to activate all of our networks. That means deeply engaging our network leaders, all of them in this room here today, and then focusing like a hawk on activating all of those networks. And that's what we're going to do this cycle.
I think another thing that I would add is that now more than ever, our community is motivated, activated, and ready to take action. I think they've woken up a sleeping giant in terms of our community, and that we're ready to say we're not your minority, we're ready to knock on doors, we're ready to make those phone calls, we're ready to take action, I think more than ever. And so I think that's another piece that I would say. And I think particularly Nevada is important too, in that not only is it the fastest growing, where there was 110% growth, but it was also we were the margin of victory, literally, for many of the races, presidential, all the way on down. So I think it's important to know that, Representative Judy Chu says, we're going from being the marginalized to the margin of victory. And I think that's something to really underscore as we move forward.
The other practical consideration is we all know that resources are incredibly scarce, whether it's time or budget and so forth. And so in digital media, we'd often say that TV and billboards and so forth are sometimes a little spray and pray. Because you actually don't know exactly who you're talking to and when, nor can you exactly time it. I actually think this is a phenomenal opportunity for our people, where more than 76% of APIs watch platforms like YouTube once every single week, right? Moreover, when you look to the celebrity side, we've made phenomenal progress, as you know, on the television and film pieces, but we've also made enormous amounts of success in creating celebrity in the digital world. So for instance, how many of you have children by show of hands? According to last night, all of us will have children at least once. For US teenagers, 8 out of their 10 top celebrities or most influential celebrities, and this by the way includes the Beyoncés of the world, the Kanye West of the world, 8 out of 10 of them are digitally born stars like YouTube stars. Which I think to many of us is shocking, because we think, why would you actually watch them on YouTube? But the reality is that we've been able to cultivate this new celebrity that we can now harness as those leaders, as Kobe was saying, the community, and cultivate communities around them. One more stat, 2 of those 8, by the way, are API. So when you look to television, and broadcast, about 5% of faces look like yours and mine. On platforms like YouTube, 15% of the top 50 most popular channels in the world are led by APIs, to the point where 2 of the most popular celebrities in this country are both Japanese, right? It's not because of their color, it's not because we've conceded talent for their race, it's because their talent and their audience transcends anything that we've ever known in linear broadcast.
So I just want to go back to the original question of what is our voice, but also to build on this great conversation that we're having right now, right? Talking about YouTube, talking about all the different applications on our mobile app. We are one of the most connected communities ever. Check out all of the foreign and ethnic media that has come out to be at this caucus, right? We had a global outreach, and we're saying that we have to reach out to leaders, and those of us in the room are the leaders, but also those on the ground that are living their daily lives are leaders too, right? This gives everyone the access to be a content creator, to be able to tell your personal story of why is it that these things matter? Why does it matter that you're going to the polls? Why does it matter that we choose who we're running for president? But it's not just president, it's everything down to local school board, right? Those are the things that impact our everyday lives, and those are the things that we definitely need to be engaging on, right? If we want to see an Asian American president, Asian American Pacific Islander president, we need to build that bench, and we need to be activated and organized on the local level to help build each other up.
All right. I'm sorry, keep going.
And I would say that our voice is the voice of America, and oftentimes in my position as like digital and communications teams, we're always trying to figure out like who has a story to talk about this issue, who has a personal narrative that talks about like why they are in this fight, why are they a part of this issue, and we are always looking for those people, right? And you are those people. Don't be afraid to have those conversations and be trained up.
Fantastic. To our council, halfway through, if you could keep your comments shorter, I would appreciate that so I can get through more of my inquisitive questions for you. So one of the things, though, that as we look at trying to swing only voters, but also leaders and also these administrations, these nominees, excuse me, is that, I mean, I like to say, you know, when you look at the last couple of cycles, we're up for sale. 73% went blue in the last cycle. At 2014, over 50% went red. That is saying to these nominees, hey, you know, we can make a difference. I also point to the swing states where we can make a difference. You look at Ohio, Virginia, even Indiana in 2008, Florida. We've got the numbers to give you a win or a loss. How do you express that idea to these two campaigns so they say, APIs are worth addressing in a very impactful way?
I think it fundamentally comes down to the issues, and I say this as someone who's not nearly well versed in policy like, you know, my venerable colleagues. It's not to say that we're not loyal to parties. I think so many of us certainly are, but we care about the hard issues, period. So are you speaking intelligently with these specific action plans against immigration, against education, against healthcare, and so forth? I think the other piece, very succinctly, Mr. Louis, that I think often gets overlooked is how diverse our community is, right? And I don't just mean in terms of ethnicity, I mean in terms of socioeconomic status.
Bing, how can we say what I just said better, though? You're the communicator extraordinaire, Julian. Tell me, because what I said was a little clunky. Everybody was like sort of zoning out here.
I think it's very simply, we don't care about how much money and how much pizzazz you have, we care about the hard issues and what you're going to do to change things. Are you a change maker, as it were, right? We're tired of talking. Yeah. A lot of circumstances though.
So the rest of the how do we say what I just said? Say it better.
I would say we're grounded in our families, we're grounded in our communities, and we understand what matters to us and how we shift policies to improve the conditions of our families and communities is important.
How do we say it better? Olivia.
I would say those things, but I would say that we are very well connected. We roll deep. We have a lot of friends and family and access, and we are great organizers. They might not be in the channels that you are used to seeing and watching, but they exist. So if you tap into the resources that we have already created, because we are out here, we are surviving, the fact that we exist and are growing in these battleground states and areas, right? So connect with the local leaders, give them the resources for them to be able to do what they have been doing.
I mean, I think, I don't know the MSNBC message on this.
Well, just make it better. Just make it better.
The PBS way is to actually, not to shout on the screen, but to actually sit with this a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'd say that there are probably three strategies that we need, right? We need a top-down strategy, we need an outside-in strategy, and we need a bottom-up strategy.
But how do we say what I just said better?
It depends on, the complexity is, it depends on who we're talking to. And what we define as power, right? So for us, is power an agenda that solves our problems? Is power having someone standing next to the person with power? What is power for us? I would say it's exactly what we just heard. It's about solving the everyday problems of the people we love, that we care about, our families, the topics that we care about. And here's the thing, it's easy this time. Because if we look at the other side, they are uniting us in a way that we have never seen before. The divisiveness, the way that they are splitting us apart, this is not the America we believe in, right? And in this rise of diverse AAPI America, there is something that holds us together. And that is this idea in America that everybody should have a fair shot, that we should all have access, that we shouldn't be discriminated against. And that's what we're asking.
Mr. Chow, please. Time. Olivia, let's move into this important space, which is really crafting the message and the voice. And that is that we live in this millennial age. And that doesn't mean that you need to be in 20-something. It means that we're discussing ideas and concepts, and specifically the API voices, in new and different ways that reaches all age groups in this millennial age. Talk about that API voice in the millennial age.
Yeah, so that's a lot to talk about. No millennials all the same. I think it would just go back to our roots and what we're used to doing and like talking story, right? Talking about our lives and what our community is, what brings us together in our voice. Going back to YouTube and how we have so many famous YouTube celebrities. That space has been crafted because we've been craving it. We weren't seeing our faces and our narratives in the mainstream, so we created it, right? We created our own reference-led organizing channels. And so how do we feed into these existing structures and make them more powerful, better, more seen, and that people are going to connect through the stories? It's not enough to say that Trump is evil and that we should vote because he's bad. We have to have a more uplifting message being like, this is what your vote is going to bring. This is how it's going to lift us up.
What works, Olivia, that you've seen? What resonates with this time? That you say, oh wow, that really works. Give me that tweet, give me that post. What's that really resonating?
So I'm going to say some of it, but I also know that Greg is amazing and actually doing it in real life. But it's definitely like sharing your real life experience. How many of you folks have actually taken selfies and sent them back to your parents and your friends and your family and told them like, look where I am right now. Look what I'm doing. Look at the leaders that I'm with that I'm able to talk to. And I talked about you. I talked about how you, public schools or immigration or Black Lives Matter or any issue that's really close to your heart, LGBT rights and issues, right? I talked about you and you made an impact to all these leaders that are going to influence policy. How do you bring those folks that aren't in this room here with us?
Right.
Yeah, I would say it's also important to integrate arts and culture. I think it's not a surprise that when we have events with food that our people show up, right? And so I think that there's a broader piece there around how are we integrating our culture and art, so like dance and music and more performances. And I think the more that we integrate that into our work and integrate that into our organizing, how do we create a feeling like we're at home on a Friday night with our family and friends?
And give me an example of a post that involves that you've done really quickly.
So I mean, even like trying to pose as if you're on a cover of a CD album with some friends, saying register to vote, and then just looking really cool with your shirts on, and then posting that.
Or shirts off.
Or shirts off. That too.
Philadelphia. It's summer. It's hot out there. It's hot.
I will say explicitly for the purposes of my job right now at the Dem Convention Digital, take a lot of photos on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, #DemsInPhilly, take photos with all the API4 signs. Let's let everyone at the convention know that we are here, we are loud, we are visible, we're here to make a difference.
Yeah.
#DemsInPhilly.
All right, great. And Nate?
Nothing that hasn't been said already. I'd say the only comment is Olivia's is especially vital. I think a lot of us sort of reduce social media to just splatter. You tweet everything, Instagram everything, you think no one's going to see this. The reality is that when you create an image, suddenly reality becomes much closer. We had a black president on film before we had a black president in the Oval Office. It works the exact same way with social media. You have to inform and show people the might of our power before it's actually delivered.
Well, you're a YouTuber. In 30 seconds, what is it that we can do with video that will activate, in this space, registration and voting?
I think the first step is, of course, telling our stories through sites on emotion, and then the second piece is practically showing people how easy it is to register to vote. Because when you don't actually understand the process, you start to believe that it's understood.
That's right. Come to an APIAVote registration table.
Exactly.
Yeah, and do that, and then post it.
And I think there's one important thing here too, is that as we think about all of the different ways that we communicate, just like Olivia and Ming are saying, the truth is that we have many different networks that use different ways of communication. Right? We know with technology, with YouTube, we can move really quickly. But if it's a newsletter that you all use, if it's coming together, the key is the conversation that we're able to create and how we're able to carry and march that forward.
And I would say showing similarities with other communities, like when we had Secretary Castro here, when we talk about issues of the African American community, we show those resonances across different communities. It resonates even better with our community.
You know,
we are part of something. But we have to end right here.
Let me ask
we really do, because he gave me the time up thing. Finish with 140 characters here. 140 characters, and it's our voice shaping and delivering our message. Think about that, and what would that 140 character be? Your tip to push out. I'm sorry, just because I gave you the time up thing, and we gotta go. Who wants to go first? Toby, you want to go first?
I want to thank the API Media Center that'll help you with all of this. If that team can raise their hand. There are 3 cards, and here's the tweet. I want everyone to take one of these 3, all 3 of these 3 cards. It says, my hope is, my fear is, my idea is. We want to hear from you. Write it down on this piece of paper, and we're going to post them up on that poster over there on the wall. And I want everyone to look at it, because this is our campaign. It is our hope. It's our fear. It's our ideas on the march forward.
That fits in 140 characters just perfectly.
I would retweet that. I would say the API community defines American. We are united and we are ready to take action for this election and moving forward.
I would say strength begins always from the inside. So we need to work harder to support each other. And secondly, big things always start very, very small.
And we're stronger together.
Because I'm a digital person, I would literally retweet everyone else and then pile on in a quoted tweet. Right? I would pile on and say that we're not in a vacuum, we're not alone just within the API community, but you were right. Like, we work very well in coalition with a lot of other minority disenfranchised communities, and we have to remember that. We have to remember that we're in the struggle together and that we are stronger together, so we need to give back as much as we give.
You all did so good, they've extended us 4 minutes. How about that? You're so good, get another 4 minutes. Yeah, they need it up here. Since we do have this is so important. I want to talk about what works in different parts of the country. We talked about different age groups, right? What is the voice regionally and the way we need to approach that? Please do keep your answers very short. Olivia, you know this, you do this all the time. Oh, okay, sure. That is regional. How are the messages different that we need to do to craft, to pull together? Because, you know, when we look at California, we look at Nevada, but we look at Maryland, we look at New Jersey, we look at Virginia, all very important swing areas. I just got to sign this aside. I have another 4 minutes, but we don't. Okay, we don't have another 4 minutes.
Sorry, so then I will make it fast for me, not 4 minutes. Regional, local, national, state level, whatever, you have to make it personal. You have to make it personal to touch at the heart of what people are feeling and what they're experiencing, right? So when it's regional, you have to give those statistics, and you have to give those stories of folks that are in the community, neighbors, people that they know, that they see in everyday life, right? And exactly what everyone's been saying here, not just in print, but find different avenues to deliver that same message, because we're so diverse that we absorb information in a different way, and we take action based on that information in different ways.
How many people in this room is your first convention? This might be our biggest asset in this room, right? The new people that we've brought into this group, right? And I think if we're able to make that one statement, engage with this community, and connect them together, we will have added a whole new generation into our march.
All right, well, we do not have an extra 4 minutes. I apologize. They gave it to us, they took it away. I guess your answer wasn't good enough, Toby. I'm joking. Thank you to our panelists. Everybody, have a great convention. Thank you, Caucus. API Caucus, appreciate it.
Fiona Mah in the house. Let's bring her up to introduce.
Good morning, Democrats. Okay, it is great to be here with you. My name is Fiona Mah. I am currently the chair of the State Board of Equalization, the only elected tax board in this country. And I have to tell you, I never thought I would be here, standing here in front of all of you. My parents were both born in China, and as the oldest child of immigrant parents,
I was not encouraged to get into politics. How many of you have the same type of parents? Okay, how many of you had parents who wanted you to be one of the lead professions? A lawyer, an engineer, accountant, or a doctor? How many hands? Yep. My parents wanted me to be an accountant since I was good at math, and I became a CPA. Got my first job with a big 8 accounting firm, and then I saw the glass ceiling, and I left to start my own practice. I was 27 years old, started my own practice, out there networking, trying to get involved, and I met J.B. Nielsen right here. 1995, J.B. Nielsen said, Ms. Mah, we need more of you at the table. I am going to appoint you as a District 9 regional representative for the SBA, the Small Business Administration, where I officially got my start in politics. The Clintons are ground zero for me, so as you can imagine, I am very, very excited to be here. Finally. And it's funny how in California, right, our lawyer is Asian American. Kamala Harris. Our banker is Asian American, John Chow. Our CFO is Asian American, Betty Yee. And I am your friendly tax collector. So we all had similar parents. John Chiang and I actually were born in New York City, and he grew up in Chicago. Also, dutiful son of immigrant parents. Went to undergrad, went to law school, started out as an attorney for the IRS, worked for our controller then, Ray Davis, worked for Barbara Boxer, and started to work with the Board of Equalization, the tax board that I am a part of right now. He worked there, was chief deputy, got appointed, got elected in his own right, 8 years, served as chair of the State Board of Equalization. Then he ran for state controller, got elected 8 years as our state controller, and then most recently got elected as our state treasurer. And he has been our leader in California, in the Asian American community. And it is very, very important that we have an opportunity in 2 years to break that ultimate bamboo ceiling in California by electing John Chiang as our next governor. My good friend,
Good morning, API Democrats. I am very excited to be with you. I want to thank Fiona for those incredibly kind words of introduction. In our pathway, and this is an incredible attendance, this attendance a few decades ago wouldn't have been possible. In 1998, these gatherings, or 96, these gatherings look incredibly different. The Asian Pacific American community nationally wasn't as active. We were still coming to fruition. If you just think about, over a time frame, the growth of the Asian Pacific American community, in 1960, this is what the United States of America looked like. It was 85% white, 11% African American, 3.5% Latino, and 0.6% Asian American. Now I know Fiona and those who know math very well said, John, that didn't add up to 100%. That was 100.1%, so obviously a little bit of rounding. Today, I want to venture and offer forward that California is what America is going to look like, and through projections, in about 2065 to 2070. In California, we are a majority Latino, a couple percentage points white, about 15 to 16% Asian Pacific Islanders. What I'm very excited about is the transformation, and then we had pioneers like Julian help us immensely, Keith Kumamoto. Today in California, we have 4 constitutional officers that are Asian Pacific Islander. We have 12 legislators here from the great FMO after me. And so it's a little bit different, right? We have matured as a community and we're continuing to grow. And so you have to work really hard to prepare and accept the mantle of leadership. And it's not going to be handed to you. You're going to have to prove that you can govern properly. And I witnessed where I grew up. I grew up in a
Born in New York, as Fiona mentioned, grew up in suburban Chicago, used to go to Chinatown. It's so exciting to meet Theresa Mah a few months ago, because Theresa's now going to represent that community. I went to Georgetown Law School, lived in Northern Virginia, and to see Kaine represent that area, where there hadn't been a lot of not only Asian Pacific political representation, community representation, you just didn't have a lot of APIs in that community. Now, in the earlier panel, they talked about power. I want all of us to try to exercise and harness that power. But I think what's really important, and you saw with some of the frustration nationally, is that as we had Asian Pacific Islanders rise to assume those mantles of power, we assume those mantles of power responsibly, with goodwill, and we bring others into the fold. Because politics of old means you take power for yourself. You don't distribute it. You don't elevate people. You don't inspire people. As Asian Pacific Islanders assume that mantle of leadership, I want them to understand that we're working for all, that we're part of the mainstream, we're part of the family, we're part of the fabric of the United States of America. And so that's part of my aspirations. What we're transforming in California, I wish for all of you. So I want all of you to harness your dreams. And even though we're in a public forum, I also want you to understand your responsibilities in the private industry. I sit on the two largest investment authorities, public investment authorities in the United States of America. We have about $500 billion in assets. And so I've been also trying to push more Asian Americans as CEOs in this C-suite, especially on corporate boards. So I will conclude with this, right? Success models indicate, whether it's different philosophies, economics, management, sociology, the people in your life have a huge impact on your success, your happiness, your financial well-being. Let's build this community. Let's all get to become friends. Let's become close friends. Let's work together. And when we regather here 4 years ago, let's celebrate our extraordinary achievements. Have a great day.
Thank you, John. Evan, would you please come up? It's not going to come. No. What is your title? Tell her. See, I'm well aware. Evan.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It's good to see so many Asian Pacific Islanders here. My name is Evan Lowe. I serve as a state legislator from California, representing Silicon Valley. Do any of you have any concept or idea of how much history we will be making when John Chiang is elected governor from the state of California? When elected, he would represent the 6th largest economy in the world. Think about that. In the State of the Union, the 6th largest economy in the world. And why is this very important for Asian Pacific Islanders? It will help to continue to make sure that we have down-ticket ballot races and encouraging young people all across the nation to continue their public service. And as a millennial myself, I want to encourage those of you who wish to run for public service to continue to be involved in the Democratic Party. I am here to introduce someone that you will also know. In Silicon Valley, we talk about return on investments, IPO. And so you want to invest early before this person becomes that star. And I want to introduce you to Stephanie Murphy. She is running for Congress in Florida. And when I had a chance to meet with her earlier this morning, in her district is the club known as Pulse, where 49 individuals of the LGBT community were murdered. And as a member of the API community, and as a member myself of the LGBT community, it is very important that we continue to advance the interests of our progressive values, because we know it is important for our humanity, not only for the present, but for the future. Stephanie's race has been identified as a red to blue race, and And I can say here, the DCCC has earmarked up to $3 million in this congressional race because of her viability. Please join me in welcoming and supporting Stephanie Murphy.
Stephanie Murphy, and I just wanted to start by thanking you all for what you do, for elevating the potential for AAPI leaders, and also for magnifying the voice of this incredibly diverse community. The work that you do is so important, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak with you and just tell you a little about myself. You know, some of the speakers and panels previously talked about how their life story impacted their path. And I was born in Vietnam, and when I was 6 months old, my parents got on a boat with my 8-year-old brother and I to escape the communist government. And so we were at sea, having run out of fuel and provisions, when a U.S. Navy ship came upon our boat, resupplied us, and that allowed us to get to Malaysia. Without the generosity of America, we would have never made it. And in Malaysia, we were picked up by or we were sponsored by a Lutheran church to go to Virginia. When we got there, my story is a lot like a lot of the stories in this room and in the greater AAPI community. My parents really instilled in us a focus on education, and they worked really hard. And so I have since my brother and I were the first in our families to go to college, and I've worked in education, in national security, and now I'm an educator because I believe in the importance of education. It's a single determining factor for me. And so this experience is the American story, and in that you see the values of hard work and grit and perseverance combined with opportunity. And the opportunity piece is the reason that I'm running for Congress. Because I believe that the potential and the future of all the things that we hold dear in this country depends significantly on the quality of the people who are at the helm of the state. And when I hear national level dialogue that is hateful and exclusionary, it really deeply troubles me. And my values of putting community before self, of sacrifice, of believing in public service has called me to get into this race in the Florida 7th District. And I see that my time is up, but I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to have shared this story with you all, and I look forward to having more conversations. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to bring up Melissa Ramoso. Thank you, Melissa.
Good morning, everyone. Today I have the great honor of introducing Karen Narasaki. As you know, Ms. Narasaki is not only an incredible human rights activist and civil rights leader, but she is here today as an appointed member of the DNC Platform Committee, where she provides immigration policy advice to the Hillary for America campaign. She also is chair of the Asian American Diversity Advisory Council for Caucus and DNC. She was appointed by President Obama to serve on the U.S. Commission on Civil Rights and is the former director of the Asian Americans Defense and Justice. Prior to that, she was a Washington representative for the Japanese American Citizens League. And before JACL, she was a corporate attorney with Perkins Coie. Mrs. Narasaki began her career as the law clerk for Judge Terry Ferguson of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit. Washingtonian magazine named Ms. Narasaki one of the 100 most powerful women in Washington. She is a nationally recognized expert on diversity, affirmative action, many issues She received her BA from Yale College, magna cum laude, and an H from the University of Los Angeles School of Law, Florida Law. Pretty much she's awesome. Karen is an incredible voice for the rights of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. So today she'll present provisions of the Democratic platform that are most relevant to our community. So please join me in
So this is the wonky portion of the meeting, and I know many of you out there, so I know how wonky you are. So this is the point where we're telling you what you can tell the community what they're voting for. I'm extremely proud of this platform. It is the most progressive platform that the Democrats or any other party have ever put forward. And I hope that you'll take the time to at least skim through it, because there's so many things that cover issues and people that you care about. I wanted to note that the drafting committee for the platform included 2 Asian Americans, Maya Harris and Nira Tandon, and that the platform committee members, in addition to myself, there was former Congresswoman Colleen Hanabusa, Vita Benavides, and also Mayor Ed Lee, who was one of the vice chairs of the committee. It really reflects our values and interests for our community, beginning with the preamble, which includes an acknowledgement of the historic role of our community played in terms of organizing farm workers. It reads, more than half a century after Rosa Parks sat and Dr. King marched and John Lewis fled, more than half a century after Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta, and Larry Itlian organized, race still plays a significant role in determining who gets ahead in America and who gets left behind. For those of you who don't know Larry, he organized Filipino cannery workers in Alaska, Filipino farm workers in California, and together with Philip Veracruz and others, he led the AFL's agricultural worker organizing committee, which eventually merged with a group led by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta to become the United Farm Workers. It is the first time, I think, that an Asian American hero has been named in the DNC platform. I want to note that unlike the GOP platform, which I have forced myself to read, our platform recognizes that we're stronger together and that diversity is our strength. Among the highlights that I think are of particular interest to our community is rather than even more tax breaks for the wealthy, we commit to raising the federal minimum wage to $15 and providing incentives with companies to share their profits with their workers and not just the CEO. Democrats would use these funds to create millions of jobs by investing in training workers, repairing our crumbling roads, bridges, and transit systems, building a 21st century infrastructure and a green economy that we could be proud of. Unlike the Republicans, Democrats would strengthen the protections put in place to keep Wall Street honest, like the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. And the platform lays out extensive standards that trade deals must meet before being approved, including strong and enforceable labor standards and environmental protection. Our community is one of entrepreneurs and small business owners, and Dilmar Syed, who I forgot to mention, was also on the committee, made sure that there are references to high-growth entrepreneurship policies in the platform. We also include thoughtful approaches to reforming our criminal justice system, ending mass incarceration and rebuilding trust between communities and law enforcement. We include better police training, use of body cameras, also thoughtful, comprehensive immigration reform that addresses family backlogs and ends policies that tears families apart. And as you know, Hillary Clinton has made a very strong commitment on family immigration and has noted that doing comprehensive immigration reform would be something she would do in her first 100 days as president. Democrats condemn Trump and the GOP for betraying our values for seeking to ban asylum seekers and refugees from Muslim countries. Democrats believe that if you truly care about LGBTQ Americans, you will end to legalize discrimination in employment and other institutions, and you would not give businesses and schools a license to discriminate against LGBTQ customers and students. We would ensure that people with disabilities get access to meaningful employment, and also protect and expand programs like STEM for children,
and also the Earned Income Tax Credit, a program that the late Congressman Bob Matsui helped to create. Thanks to former Congressman Colleen Hanabusa, it contains strong support for sovereignty of the indigenous peoples, including the need for self-governance and self-determination for Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, as well as strong acknowledgments of the healthcare needs of the people in the territories. It also includes many strong protections for voting rights, including Section 203, which is the language bilingual materials that have enabled so many of our community to vote for the first time and led to elections like Legislature Hubertville in Texas. Finally, I just want to note that one of the strong things that I think is particularly important is it talks about strengthening Obamacare as opposed to taking it apart. As we know, 1 in 6 AAPIs lacked insurance before the Affordable Care Act. In some groups, it was as high as 1 in 5. This is an election that matters. Ideas matter. This today is the 10th anniversary of the day that President Bush signed into law reauthorizing the Voting Rights Act. And then the Supreme Court, led by Republican appointees, gutted it. 3 years, and we have not been able to get the Republican Senate to bring it up to reauthorize it. Elections matter. The Supreme Court hangs in the balance. The Supreme Court will set the direction for our country for decades to come. So please do everything you can to make sure that our community is out there making sure that the right candidate becomes president, that the right candidate appoints the Supreme Court, and that the right candidate leads our community to a better tomorrow together. Thank you.
Wow, that was phenomenal to boil down all the platform into a few minutes. And she gave you all a really great highlights of those provisions that are included.
Sorry, this is a federal appointee thing, and so you guys will understand. I'm on the Commission on Civil Rights, but I'm not representing the Commission in any way. I'm only here in my individual capacity. Sorry.
At this time, I'd like to bring up Theresa Mah to introduce Helen Kim.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Theresa Mah, and I recently won an election in Chicago where I'll be representing a district that includes the Chinatown community. When I take office in January, I will be the first Asian American to serve in the Illinois Legislature. I often get surprise and astonishment that it has taken that long to have the first Asian American serve in the Illinois Legislature. And I'm also asked very often, well, what can we do to make sure we get more Asian Americans elected to office? And I tell them that we need to encourage our young people to get engaged at every level, and not just in electoral politics, but in the community. And the speaker that I'm about to introduce, she's taken that approach. She has been deeply engaged in her community. She was a journalist, a teacher, a community organizer. She understands the needs of the community she serves. And those are the kinds of people we need to elect. Those are the kinds of people we need to support when they run for office. So it's my pleasure to introduce Helen Kim, who is the first Asian American woman to serve in the Philadelphia City Council. She's an at-large member.
and no doubt will, she's a rising star. It's a pleasure to introduce you. Please welcome Helen Jim.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, and welcome to Philadelphia. Isn't it great? I was so happy to be part of a really grassroots effort to see change come to our city. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what it means to be in this moment today, because I think it's extremely powerful, and it's important for us as elected officials to think about what it's going to translate on the ground. My name is Helen Jim. I'm the first Asian American Democrat here in Philadelphia, which is a Democratic town by a margin of 7-1. And in November, I won a citywide election, an election for citywide office, and I'll be one of only 3 non-judicials to hold 3 women to hold a citywide office that's not a judicial race. So we can hear right now that the need for diversity, for women in office, for APIs is great in big cities and small, from across the country, whether you're on the East or West Coast and all places in between. But in order for us to think about what that means and how to do it, we need to hit at the local level. I came out of 20 years of grassroots organizing in Philadelphia's Asian American and immigrant community. We fought for public education, we fought for housing, we talked about what it meant to have criminal justice reform, we talked about immigrant rights before it hit the stage at Wells Fargo, because those are the issues that are moving our communities right now. When we go local, I want us to remember that that is the stuff that is in our grasp. The movements that are happening and sweeping across the nation today, the energy that you are seeing moving in our streets with our young people, with multiracial coalitions working for justice together, those are happening at the local level, which means that they are within your grasp. So as APIs, don't leave that behind. Don't leave our progressive voice behind. Don't let it just be a voice for the wealthy to insulate the wealth gap. What we need right now is for APIs to take a progressive moment and to be at the front lines of ensuring that we're going to end the wealth gap in this city. We're going to tackle racial justice. We're going to be on the front lines of economic justice movements. We're going to fight for affordable housing. We're going to be there for voting rights. And if we take this moment, we will show people not only what it looks like to be people of color, we'll show them how it translates into policies that change things for all of us on the ground. So welcome to Philadelphia. Enjoy your time. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Helen. Just give her another round of applause. She is our host, and thank you very much for that warm welcome. Next is my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce my hero and my friend, Tammy Duckworth. Soon to become Senator from Illinois, Tammy Duckworth. Tammy was a helicopter pilot that was shot down in the Iraq-Afghanistan war. As you can see, she lost both legs, but for her friends and comrades, she almost died. But we're very lucky that she had great friends to help her and bring her back. So while she was in Walter Reed, recuperating, she decided to run for Congress back in 2006, and that's when I first met her. She ran for Congress successfully in 2012, and now she is going to run for the Senate. And we're very supportive of you. We hope that you will become our next senator from Illinois.
My daughter has 3 grandmas, and Bill is one of them. 2 biological, and I think this one may be the most doting, actually. Well, it's great to be here. Great to be in a state and a capital that has played such an important part of the founding of our nation, and such an important part of our nation's history. And this is the same importance that we, members of the AAPI community, have for our nation, yet we're so often overlooked. After all, it was Asian Americans who, with their bare hands and bent backs, connected this nation from East Coast to West Coast as we built the railroads. It was Asian Americans who, while fighting for our nation's military, even in the Civil War, would then later on had their citizenship revoked. Asian Americans have been part of this nation's history. We are part of this nation's presence, and we are definitely going to dominate our nation's future. As we look around the world, the fact that Asian Americans are growing in population, are growing in influence, is something that is beneficial. I talk a lot about the strength of our country from a military perspective, but a major strength of our country is our great diversity. And I am so proud to see that diversity showing up everywhere. I am a proud member of CAPAC, the Congressional Asian American Pacific American Caucus, head by the great Judy Chu and incoming head Grace Meng. And we did just lose a dear, dear friend of mine, Congressman Mark Takai. I've known him for 27 years when we went to school together at the University of Hawaii. And I can't believe that he's not here. But the work that he's done continues, and we are vowing to carry on all those issues that are of great importance to him, especially education. But I'm going to encourage you to vote. I'm here to encourage you to vote. All folks here will vote, I know that. But you need to get other folks to vote. Not just register to vote, but turn out on election day. You know, President Obama often speaks about the fact that in 2012, his re-election, the highest percentage of votes he got was over 80%. It was in the AAPI community. We need to do the same thing. That will show the power and the influence that we can have as a community, whether it is in business, whether it's in education, even in our military. I'm so proud that our first Sikh American officer is now allowed to wear his religious and cultural military service for this great nation. The man is a West Point graduate, and yet we were discriminating against him. So I'm glad that he's groundbreaking. This is happening everywhere. Theresa Mah in Illinois, hopefully she'll be the first of many in office, but we have more work to do. And that's why I'm showing up every day, and each of you is showing up every day. Thank you for having me here. I'm going to try to say hi to as many folks as possible, and we'll see you on the floor. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to do something that we've done at every convention in the past. I'd like all of the elected officials to please stand up. All elected officials at the state, local, please come up, and as you come up, please tell us who you are and where you're from. Just for who you are. Anybody else that's elected? Did Evan go leave? Just quickly. One picture, and then I see our president. This represents, folks, our pipeline for the future. I've been saying for the last 8
years, 10 years, that my dream is that we will have a President of the United States during my lifetime. This is the pipeline that will get us there. Thank you all. Minnie? I get the pleasure to introduce Minnie Timmaraju. Minnie previously served as the National Director for APIAVote, a coalition of 34 Asian Pacific and American organizations. But today, and most importantly, she is the Director of Outreach for Women. So, without further ado, here's Tammy. Here's me.
All right, APIs, wake up! How you doing? All right. Hey! I see a lot of happy people here, like Greg and Chris. My name is Minnie Timmaraju. I am the Women's Vote Director for Hillary for America. And I'm so thrilled that you're all here in Philadelphia, and you were all, how many of you were in the hall last night when we made history? So I'm really excited because one of the reasons I came by today was to introduce my dear friend Grace Meng. A couple of quick updates. The KPAC members are actually stuck at Wells Fargo. They were supposed to be here this morning, but they are doing a walkthrough for tonight because they will all be on stage tonight representing all of us. But the bad news is that meant that they couldn't be here this morning. So I'm going to do a little bit of what Grace was going to do, very poorly compared to Grace, who's an amazing champion. But I want to say a couple of nice things about Grace before I talk about what I came here to talk about, which is API Women for Hillary. Very, very exciting. So Grace is, as you know, she's not only a rising star in the API community and a champion for women and girls in New York and nationally, she's also taking on more and more national leadership roles, and we're so incredibly excited to see a young Asian American woman taking on this role. I think it's really powerful, especially as we elect a woman president, to have an Asian American woman take on the leadership roles for our party. I'm excited to say she's running as vice chair of the party, and when we vote next week, we will be talking about Grace Meng as the vice chair of the DNC. Can I say that? That's big, you guys. That's huge. That's huge. And she's a candidate, but hopefully she will win. The second thing I want to say about Grace is she's now the head of KPAC's PAC. So again, Grace is really paving the way. So Belle is telling me something. Okay, so here's what I came here to talk to you about, and I really think this is something not just for our AAPI women, but for our AAPI men who love us, and our AAPI sons and cousins and brothers, like Ben, who has been over there. We are all here today because we know the choice in this election is clear. We want our next president to fight for all communities, Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders from coast to coast, Hawaii, the Pacific, including women, children, and families. We know AAPI women have made tremendous contributions to our nation. You're entrepreneurs, you're doctors, you are educators and fellow elected officials and more. And yet, we still face very significant challenges. On average, AAPI women earn only 86 cents for every dollar earned by a white man. Think about that. 86 cents per dollar. And for Vietnamese American women, it's only 61 cents. And for Bhutanese American women, it's a mere 38 cents. That is outrageous. And there's one candidate running for president who actually knows these figures and actually has a plan to address them, and it's Hillary Clinton. So we're really excited to share with you today, and I know I keep saying excited, but that's how I'm feeling. We're going to be launching in the next couple of weeks API Women for Hillary. And my dear colleague Jason Tenko in the back and I will be partnering together to reach out to all of you by email, by social, by text, by SMS, to make sure we have Asian American and Pacific Islander women coast to coast organized for Hillary Clinton. We know that there are issues specific to our communities that we need to uplift in this election, and that they're going to be really compelling and powerful points to get turnout the way we need. I also want to say on the side, with Donald Trump as the nominee on the Republican side, we have an unprecedented opportunity to drive a historic gender gap. That means we are already polling way ahead of Trump with women. So every single person in this room who cares about women, who cares about families, who cares about issues like equal pay, paid family leave, and we don't want our men care about these issues as much as women do, right? Because it affects your economy, it affects your household, it affects your life. Let's give it up for the men, the male feminists in this room. There's a place for you too. So it's our time now, but we need your help to keep building this network. We're going to be reaching out. Please email us at AAPIoutreach@HillaryClinton.com or contact me or Jason. I know all of you know how to do that because I hear from you all the time. And we're going to be launching a national general election women's program that's going to include API women, African American women, Latina women. We're going to be, I can say it in this room, talking to Republican women. We have a really big opportunity with Republican women, so all of your Republican cousins and aunties, please bring them along to API Women for Hillary. And I look forward to celebrating with you tonight as the KPAC members speak on stage, but more importantly, tomorrow when Hillary Clinton takes the stage and we celebrate what we're going to have a fast and furious general election, but we're going to win big in November, and it's going to be because of AAPI communities and all of the leaders in this room. So thank you so much for having me. Thanks to Belle for her tremendous leadership, the ultimate AAPI women leader for the DNC. We're so grateful to her. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. With her leadership in the campaign, I know that we will not only galvanize all of the support for women, from women, but also from AAPIs. We have a very strong team working together to make sure that we win this in November. Next, I'd like to bring Sam Singh up to introduce the next speaker. Sam.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Sam Singh. I'm the first Indian American elected to the legislature in the state of Michigan. And one of 3 Asian Americans that are serving right now in the state legislature. We've only had 4 serving in the entire history of our state. So we're making progress and eventually want to get to be like California. I was pleased that last year my Democratic colleagues made me the Democratic floor leader, so the number 2 in that position. And we'd be pleased to be trying to flip our House from Republican control to Democratic control this November. I'm pleased to be here to introduce Michelle Lee. Michelle is the Undersecretary of Commerce for Intellectual Property and Director of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, where she serves as the Principal Advisor to the President on intellectual property policy. The Patent and Trademark Office is one of the largest intellectual property offices in the entire world, and she's the first woman and the first Asian American to hold this position in our country's history. Prior to this, Ms. Lee was a Deputy General Counsel at Google, which she joined when it was a very small corporation and helped it grow to be the multinational corporation that it is today. She holds a BS and an MS in Engineering and Computer Science from MIT and a JD from Stanford. Ms. Lee has been recognized by Political Magazine as one of the top 50 influential visionaries in American public policy, by the Washingtonian Magazine as a tech titan, and as San Francisco Business Times one of the top 100 most influential women in Silicon Valley. It's my honor to introduce Michelle Lee.
Thank you, Sam, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be with you here today. You've heard a lot about why our time is now. I'd like to offer you some perspectives of mine. I'd like to see a raise of hands. How many of you are a child of at least one parent who is an immigrant? Raise your hand. Okay, thank you. I too am a child of an immigrant family. My parents came to this country to pursue an education and to seek the American dream. After college, they settled in Silicon Valley, where my engineer dad found a perfect opportunity and a perfect environment to raise his young family. Growing up, I always wanted to be an engineer, to be part of the creative and entrepreneurial community in that region. In fact, one of my fondest memories is of building a handheld radio with my dad in our living room. Through my parents' hard work and sacrifices, they raised two daughters who flourished in the land formerly filled with apricot orchards, now packed with high-tech companies. I've had the privilege of representing some of our country's most innovative companies, and now I have the privilege and the honor, thanks to so much support in this room from many individuals, to be the first woman and the first Asian American to lead my agency in our country's 225-year history. I long for a day in which there are no longer such firsts. As one of the few and hopefully growing number of AAPIs, high-ranking AAPIs in the executive branch, I feel an obligation to ensure that more AAPIs are poised to assume top leadership roles in the government and beyond. We must continue to nurture the talent coming up from above, from behind us. Each one of us, myself included, got where we got not simply because of our hard work and our smarts, but because there were people in our families, in our teachers, in our mentors, and in our community who helped us get there. Each of us owes an obligation to give back what we were given. Also, we must increase our voter turnout and our civic engagement. We've heard a lot about that today. I'm proud of our standard of excellence that was instilled in me by my family and my culture. But I imagine for more than a few of us, if we've got home test scores of 95% or 99%, that might not be good enough. Let me throw out a number for you. 56%. Only 56% of AAPIs eligible to vote in 2012 registered to vote, and half of that turned out to actually vote. That means 25% of those eligible to vote voted in 2012 in a year of record turnout. Now tell me, if you got home test scores of 56% and 25%, how many hours of TV would you have had to forfeit as a result of that? Somehow, we have accepted that from our own AAPI community for one of the most important tests out there, civic duty. It's time to change that equation. I was at the APIAVote event on Monday, and I know that working together, we can get our test scores up. Our community is already defining our country's future, and will only increasingly do so as we expand in numbers and influence. From my perspective, as a person coming from the business world, if AAPIs were a company, I would tell everyone to invest in that company today, because we are paying dividends and we will only continue to do so as we increase in numbers and influence. So, the question to the American public and all our elected officials is, would you rather invest in an attractive investment opportunity now, or 25 years from now, in 2040, on an opportunity that you know will yield dividends? The time is now, and our time is now. Thank you.
Let me also, at this point, ask all of the political candidates and the elected officials to come up, say your name, what you are running for, or what district you're from, and then stand up here so we can take the group picture. Please come up. See, we have elected officials, please. Political candidates, please come up. They're shy. How can you be a political candidate if you're shy? I don't believe this. Oh, you're shy.
Unfortunately, this is the problem. There are not enough of us. So we need more people to be on this stage. My name is Neil McKeeger. I'm running for the 122nd District of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. And okay. Thank you very much.
Linda Waugh, I'm the first API on the Pasadena Area Community College Trustees Board, and I'm also co-founder of the API Caucus for the California Community Colleges.
I'm Senator Bob Hasagawa from the great state of Washington, co-chair of our members of color caucus that we formed in the state legislature.
My name is Harry Bandari. I was the former secretary of YDA, Young Democrats of America, Minority Caucus, and we helped establish API Caucus in YDA. It was Nadir. Last year we established, and I went for a state delegate for American House. I was a couple of hundred votes short, 400 plus votes short, and I'm planning to run again. Thank you very much.
My name is Sam Park. I'm running for, I'm from Georgia. I'm running for State House District 101, and I'm the only Asian American running for a state in the Georgia General Assembly.
Today, I'm Regine Biscoli. It's so wonderful to be here around family and friends of the API community. I am running for a Senate seat in the Guam legislature. It's the 34th Guam legislature. And I want to invite all of you to check out my Facebook page and my website, regineforguam.com. Thank you so much.
My name is David Chen. I'm from Seattle, Washington. I'm a FI commissioner. So I'm the only Asian FI commissioner. So please, run for dog catcher or whatever. Just get involved in your local. Thank you.
Glad to be here. David Drew, Los Angeles City Council.
Good afternoon, Democrats. My name is Mike Fong. I'm honored to serve as a trustee for the Los Angeles Community College District. We represent 9 community colleges in Los Angeles, and it's the largest community college district in America.
Good afternoon, Democrats. I'm Jay Chen. In 2012, I was a candidate for U.S. Congress, and I'm currently a Board of Trustees member for Mount San Antonio College, and I beat a 20-year incumbent Republican for that seat.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sam Hindi, council member in Foster City, California. I am from an Arab American descent. I'm glad to be here with you, and thank you for all your support.
Yes, maybe the last one. My name is Chung Ta. I'm running for Huntington Beach School District. I'm from California and Huntington Beach. Thank you.
Thank you. Isn't this wonderful? We have a great lineup of candidates. All of you from around the country, please support these candidates and encourage a lot more to run. The more people that we have in the pipeline, the better we are. So now I have the privilege and the honor to introduce my good friend, Senator Macy Hirono. Macy is, Macy has served in public service for a couple of decades. Oh, okay. 30 years. She was Lieutenant Governor in Hawaii. She was the Congress member from Hawaii, and she's now our senator from Hawaii. She is a fierce advocate of all of our issues in the Senate, and especially I want to call your attention to the fact that she is the one that is carrying our fight on immigration in the Senate and helping lead the way so that we do ultimately have a comprehensive immigration law. Would you please welcome Senator Hirono. Aloha.
Aloha, friends. Aloha. Okay, you knew I'm from Hawaii, right? But you can really tell that I'm the only one wearing an actual flower lace. So I brought lei for every day of the convention because I'm proud to represent such a diverse state as Hawaii. clearly I'm really happy to be here this morning with all of you. First of all, I would like to just take a moment of silence for two friends and leaders from the AAPI community we lost recently. One is my colleague from Congress, Congressman Mark Takai, and I often refer to him as my younger brother because Mark and I had worked on issues since the time that I was Lieutenant Governor and all the way through my time in the U.S. House and U.S. Senate. The other person we lost is Montano, who was a very senior person with Senator Tim Kaine's office. So if we can just take a moment of silence to acknowledge the contributions and commitment of these two great AAPI leaders. Thank you very much. I don't think that this is a group that I need to cite many statistics on. We know that the AAPIs are the fastest growing minority population in our country. So clearly in every election we are going to can make a difference. We're no longer a 0.01% of various states' populations. In fact, in states like Virginia, Nevada, Georgia, AAPIs are a growing population. And so this election is that much more important because our voices need to be heard. There are a lot of issues that are important to our community, and Belle, thank you for the introduction. I've known Belle forever too. There are a number of issues that are of particular importance to us, and we want to make sure that the next administration and people who are elected, of course, to Congress, in my case particularly to the Senate, have these issues and are supportive of these issues in mind. One, of course, mentioned by Belle, is comprehensive immigration reform. There are some 11 million undocumented people in our country, and of that, about 1.5 million are AAPIs. Did you know that? Of course, you would know that, but the larger community doesn't necessarily know that. There are, of all the dreamers who have come forward, some 25% of them are AAPIs. And in the system of visa system waiting to come into our country under our visa system, the majority or the longest waiting people are from the AAPI, from the Asia Pacific area, largely from the Philippines. So comprehensive immigration reform is of utmost importance to all of us. And our very diverse AAPI communities should come together, have come together in support of this kind of reform. When I served on the Judiciary Committee and we were doing the markup in the Senate on the comprehensive immigration reform, I really focused on the need to keep family unity as a guiding principle of any immigration reform. Now, we know that that was an uphill battle to get that into the comprehensive immigration reform bill, and in fact, it's really not particularly reflected. So as we go forward with the new administration of President Hillary Clinton, she is going to be so much more supportive of the kinds of reforms that we need in immigration that I would like to ask all of you to continue to push for family unity as a guiding principle. And yeah, we need to do that. And working with the advocates outside of the Senate arena, it was very clear that my voice was the strongest voice on that proposition of family unity, and we were able to get Filipino World War II veterans to long time waiting. A lot of these Filipino World War II veterans have been waiting for decades to reunite with their children, who are in their 60s, most of them. And while we were able to get that as an amendment into the comprehensive immigration bill, in the Senate, as you will know, the House never took it up. Thankfully, the Obama administration took administrative action to enable Filipino World War II vets to reunite with their children under a parole program. So that's just one example. The appointment of minorities, AAPIs, to judicial positions and to administrative positions is really critical. because we know that part of our voices being heard is if we are sitting at the table. We need to be sitting at the decision-making table. And that includes judicial appointees. President Obama has nominated more than 25 AAPIs to federal judicial appointments. More than any of our other presidents put together. He has also nominated over 120 minorities to various administrative and judicial positions, more than any other president in our country combined. So we want our next administration to be just as good, if not better, in terms of having our voices heard at the table. And while I was on the Judiciary Committee, I was able to push for a number of AAPI appointments. And my friend Michelle Lee, who heads up the Patent and Trademark Office, is one of these people. She's tremendously talented, and she is at the head of one of the most important offices in our country to promote innovation in our country, because innovation is how we stay. Oh, I'm getting the word. Only 1 minute left? I'm just getting warmed up, everybody. We can talk later. Another person, Norman Bay, I was able to really help push for his appointment to head up a very important federal energy agency, better known as FERC, and Vivek Murthy as our Surgeon General. Fantastically talented person. And of course, we have a number of bills that we need to continue to push for. And one that I worked with Grace Meng, the member of Congress, was to eliminate references to words like Oriental in our existing laws. That's something that Grace has been pushing for at the state level, and it was great to work with her to push to get her bill through and get it signed into law. Filipino World War II veterans gold medal. About time. So last week, just before the Senate adjourned, not adjourned, we took our break, we passed the Filipino World War II gold medal bill unanimously. We have to get it out of the Senate. I mean, out of the House. We got it out of the Senate. We have to get 67 senators to sign on. And we had a lot of support from all of you in the community nationwide. But it also meant me literally buttonholing senators on the floor of the Senate, asking them, maybe Republicans, to ask them to support, and they did. So that's still outstanding work, because we need to get this done. Every day that goes by, we're losing more Filipino World War II veterans. So our votes matter. I have about 10 seconds, right? Our votes matter because, you know what, in President Obama's election, the AAPI community's vote was just overwhelmingly for Barack Obama. Why? Because we know who's on our side. We know who understands our issues. We know who's listening to our voices, and that will be Hillary Clinton, not the person who can't even acknowledge that the internment of Japanese Americans in World War II, he couldn't even acknowledge that that was wrong, wrong, wrong. And a president who identifies minority groups such as Muslims for discriminatory treatment. That is not the kind of president we want. We want President Clinton, who will listen to our voices, who will hear our voices, who will make appointments, AAPI appointments to judicial vacancies as well as to the administration. She knows that we will be with her. We are, aren't we? Yes. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Senator, and appreciate all of your efforts on our behalf in the Senate and working with all of your colleagues, as well as reaching into the House side so that we can pass it into law. Next, we want to bring up KJ Bashi to talk about the KJ Bashi and Jason.
Hi, good morning, folks. My name is KJ Bachi. I'm the director of AAPI. to give a quick shout out and thank you to all the volunteers who've been running around, bringing our speakers from the U.S. Security and also our comms volunteers as well. Can we give them a quick round of applause for So I started this job about a year ago, and I want to do a quick recap just of what the Democratic Party has been focusing on when it comes to the AAPI community. When I first took the position about a year ago, I thought the focus would be talking to folks like you, a lot of phone calls and emails. I had no idea that our community would be under attack, either directly by candidates calling our community out, or indirectly by making subtle cues and raising a context that those of us who are immigrants, or sons and daughters of immigrants, are less than, or we are not as American as the other folks. And so, at the DNC, we quickly started ramping up our API rapid response. We brought on an API comms lead. We also started focusing on trying to make our community understand what the process looks like. So we did delegate trainings, we also did trainings on voter protection, and we also, in the DNC, in DC, we did a speed networking event with young API folks. But what I want to do now is transition over. So the DNC has been in support for the newly, since yesterday, the newly appointed, or newly, getting at the convention, being the first female candidate for a major party. I want to hand it over to Jason Tanko, who is going to be our API lead, and the DNC will be in a supportive role for that. Here you go, Jason.
Thank you, KJ. I wanted to start off by giving a round of applause to KJ and Mel for their tremendous leadership on the side of the DNC. You know, they often say that the role of the DNC is to build the house so that once the campaigns win the primary, they're ready to occupy it. And for me, representing for Hillary Clinton on the campaign side, I think they've built a tremendous, amazing, beautiful house for Hillary Clinton to occupy, and that's going to be the White House in November. Thank you, KJ. I also wanted to recognize, you know, I started in this job in April, but actually my predecessor, Lisa Chandavitha, is here in the back, and I wanted to recognize her for really all of her work since she started last year to really set up the infrastructure for us to really take this across the finish line in November. So I wanted to close, before we do the selfie, I wanted to close with just a call to action for everyone here. You know, I'd be remiss if we didn't have a couple next steps in terms of what we can do, because the convention is really just a step forward for us, and it's really the next 3 months that are going to be really critical for us to make sure that Hillary occupies the White House in November. So the first step for many of you, and you can pick up a volunteer sign-up form before you leave, is to get involved with one of our, we have over a dozen API for Hillary groups. We have Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Hmong, Japanese, Korean, LGBT, Pacific Islanders, South Asians, Thai Americans, Vietnamese, API millennials, and API women for Hillary. So, please do get involved with one of those groups. Help us really drive our field strategy by hosting a phone day, hosting a house party, traveling to a battleground, whether it's Nevada, Virginia, Pennsylvania, to make sure that we win the API vote in those really key swing states. You can join our communications efforts. You can write an op-ed. You can write an op-ed even better in language in API media. You can tweet on social media, join our rapid response amplification team. For all the finance folks, I did want to recognize our API Finance Council and API Leadership Council members. Can you all just raise your hand or shout out? You can fundraise. I know there's a lot of folks here who are able to fundraise, whether it's a grassroots fundraiser under $20,000. That can be anywhere from $50 to $200 per person if you can't, reach that magic $2,700 amount. Or you can also host, with our API Finance Council, a fundraiser wherever you are to really make sure that Hillary has the resources to win in the White House. And finally, you can work for the campaign. We are still looking for people to work in the campaign, whether that's in Brooklyn, with me, and I did actually just want to recognize and announce that KJ is actually going to be joining us in Brooklyn as our new API Finance Director next week. So I couldn't be, he was in DC, I'm in Brooklyn, I couldn't be too far from him, so we had to bring him over to Brooklyn in order for us to be closer together. So you can join us in Brooklyn, whether it's data, whether it's analytics, whether it's legal, whether it's policy. You know, we're looking for folks on finance, we're looking for folks still to work with us on those issues. So if you're interested, go online, or you can be a campus or field organizer in your own state. We are still very much looking for API organizers to really make sure that we engage our community. And the best way to do that is to have staff that reflects those communities. So please apply, and if you're interested, talk to me after. So those are the opportunities. Please do get involved over the next few weeks. And with that, I wanted to close out with a selfie. So I know you all have the API for Hillary sign. So can everyone actually, let's stand. Can everyone stand? And I'm going to ask the folks on this side to come over here and fill in this middle area. Okay, well, we're not going to close out just yet. We're going to take the selfie. Can everyone come to the side here? Okay, we'll do the selfie and then we will turn it back to Belle, who's going to close out. All right, so can everyone raise your signs? Yeah. All right, everyone's back too. All right, ready? Okay, ready? 3 panels yesterday. And for each panel, we had an action lead/convener. They're going to talk to you a little bit about what it means for you guys to be involved going forward. Each of the panel that we had for over the last 2 days reflected an aspect of what we need to do. And so I'm going to ask Narasaki, Erica Mortsuko, and Francie Youngberg to say a few words and to kind of get you guys energized going forward into the fall and election and beyond.
Thank you, Val. This is the heart of what you're doing. It's very, very good. You have heard from a lot of people, guys, but I'll tell you this is the most important thing because now it's about action. And one thing I want to say is someone who's worked in 3 campaigns as a private citizen, not on the campaign payroll or not as a elected official, but as an ordinary citizen. Getting involved in the campaign is the most entrepreneurial thing you can do. And many of us are community organizers in the room, many of us have done things in our communities. This is your chance to get involved. So the area that I am helping move forward is to get our people to vote in collaboration with the campaign. To make sure our folks register to vote, to make sure we educate them on how to vote and where to vote, and that process cannot be done just by folks in the campaign or just by folks in the DNC, but rather by all of us. So what I'm going to ask, frankly, each one of you is to please let us know if you're interested in helping form a team that can help reach out to our communities all across the country, but especially in those 6 states where this election will be decided. When we say our time is now, we're not asking for others to do our work. The work is going to be done by each one of us in the room. And everybody here is a leader, everybody here is organized folks. So this is really for you to get involved. So I don't know what our process is going to talk about our process. Sure, and then we will let you know how you can sign up. So you have a way to throw your hat if you will in the ring. Thank you.
action that we can focus on this week and carry it forward through November. We win and we elect Democrats up and down the ballot. We do that through comments, and I think that they kind of caption off like what some of the work products are, but we funnel it through the focus of the folks who really inspire us, panels that organize for us. So mine is our voices, and so we're going to focus on digital outreach, which is exactly what they were talking about this morning, which is not just making sure that the message is developed and crafted beautifully, but that we're sending it out. The leadership here sends it out to the leadership in communities, and that's where it matters, because that's where we start activating voters and we get people excited, and they can also provide feedback for what's needed, like education and things that might not be readily apparent, because if there's some kind of very desperate need in that particular community, local leaders that are going to be able to identify those for us. So do digital outreach, identifying surrogates, and doing the content and messaging.
You probably heard some of the speeches from the convention hall the last couple of nights, and you saw what is powerful is really for each of us to get out of this room where the core supporters are and to talk to people who are not in this room. This is your family, your friends, and being able to tell your story about why is it important for you, why Hillary Clinton has to be the next president of the United States. And to make sure that when you're talking about issues, it's not about the issues, it's about how it affects your family, you personally. This is what I found powerful in the past campaigns that we've worked on. You need to personalize it and to say why it is that it's important for not only for you, but your immigrant parents and the future generations. This is building on our future. And we need to make sure that in the next 3 or 4 months, we are all on this, and you decide how much time you want to devote to this. But this is not something that you can do some weekend. This is a commitment to some extent. And I'm going to be focusing on Virginia like I did last time, and I'm also going to focus in Pennsylvania, both on the GOTV and on voter protection. Voter protection is extremely important to our community because many of our folks sometimes do not know what their rights are. And for the many lawyers in the room, I think this is another important arena that you can contribute. So find a way, where is your skill, who are your networks, what media, whether it's traditional or social media that you're very good at, and please talk to people outside this room. That is the most important thing that we can do coming out of here. And I really want to thank Belle and the entire planning committee for bringing us together, because we are stronger together. Thank you. So now we have, you guys have some index cards that were handed out, and there's also envelopes per row. So if you can either drop your business card in the envelope, or you can write your name and your email on the index card and give it to somebody who has an envelope. Then the 3 of us up here are going to make sure that we continue this conversation, because that is the most important thing that we can do moving forward, is actually go from concept to execution. So please sign up, and we really look forward to working with all of you.
So at this time, I would like to thank all of the speakers throughout the last 2 days. I want to thank all of you for being here. And I want to thank you in advance for your activism and for your commitment and for your energy going into the next 6 months, years to come. We want to make sure that all of those of you that are running for elective office, I want to first congratulate you for your courage and thank you for your commitment to run and to become part of our future leadership in whichever level of office that you're running. As one of the speakers earlier said, you need to run, whether it is for a dog catcher, a fire marshal, a county board member, a councilman, a legislator in the state legislature, Congress, Senate, and yes, the presidency of the United States. We will, that is our goal, and I hope that you all will really work towards that. Our time is now. Our time is now. And we must make sure that we move forward and we become very active and get ready to elect the next president of the United States, Hillary Clinton. Thank you. And don't forget, tweet and go onto social media. It is hashtag Our Time Is Now or hashtag AAPI at DNC. Thank you all very much. A quick announcement. Caroline fan, just raise your hand, lost her purse. If you find it, it's black. Black and pink.
Yes. As soon as I guess they're finished.